Hey guys, Letter Magic here, and wow, have we got quite possibly the biggest story of 2024 coming out of Wizards of the Coast. It's been just barely 1 month, and it has just been the craziest stuff, just day after day. So, Hasbro just fired about like a third of their employees, or announced that they would, or I don't know if it was a third up front, or 1/6 and they're getting to a third, or a third now, or they're getting to half, or it's bad. They had a really weak Christmas period, and before the numbers even came out, they just started counting who they could fire. They sold off some assets at a loss that they acquired and did next to nothing with, made no money with. We're talking like 1/8 of the value of their company, and oops, just write it off. Oops, that didn't work out. I mean, if you needed any more evidence that they're run by morons, look at the 5-year stock price of Hasbro. So, Wizards of the Coast is, by pretty much any measure that I've seen, the only thing propping up Hasbro. It's the only profitable division. That's why we had Chris Cox come in. That's why we had all of the power ramping, the short-term gains, the selling on Amazon. Everything they did was because Hasbro was like, dude, we seriously need money. So they treated them like their piggy bank and smashed them, and well, now let's try and pick up the pieces and put it back together. Just kidding. They're going to, apparently, they're planning to sell off the D&D property, as in Dungeons and Dragons, in its entirety, the whole thing. Who'd they try to shop it to? Well, these absolute dinguses tried to sell it to Larian, before or during, I'm not even sure, Baldur's Gate 3, which made, debatable amounts of money, but was still popular, mostly with perverts. But after apparently them saying, hey, you want to buy this? They came back with, hey, idiots, do you know how much our company is worth? Do you know what Larian is worth? Less than Dungeons and Dragons. Just ballpark, I'd say the D&D properties, IP, depending upon what the buyout is and what they get, $500 million to $3 billion. I know it's a big range, but $500 million to $3 billion is about what I would expect to pay if I went to them and said, I'll take it. Now keep in mind, the end of 2022 into the third quarter, not counting Christmas of 2023, Hasbro lost about $500 million. They were getting into we can't make payroll, we gotta take out a loan to pay our employees level. And it's all mostly stock prices, but it's also lack of income and bad management, and, I don't want to get into it. Just everything. They've been just absolutely terrible. Which is funny because Monopoly Go is making money, Baldur's Gate 3 made money, and the D&D movie, I think, made at least a little bit of money. So, big, clickbait headline, they're trying to sell D&D. They tried to sell it to someone who doesn't have the money. Wow, what a bunch of morons. Wonder if that story's even true. No, Larian went, I don't know if they went to their parent company and said, you should buy them, or they said, why don't you hit up our parent company, you morons, those are the ones with money. They're called TenCent, ever heard of them? TenCent is worth, and I wish I was kidding, $332 billion. Multiply that by about 9 and you've got Microsoft, so that's the scale we're looking at here, but they're basically like the Activision Blizzard, or even bigger, Epic Games maybe? Bigger. Very, very big games company, maybe Steam, I guess you would say, of Hong Kong and China. They're kind of on the up and up. They've done some stuff with spyware in the past, I think, or been accused of it. But generally, they're not seen as that company. Bank of America. PayPal, But they're still Chinese. So mostly they care more about money than they care about doing typical Chinese stuff and ripping people off and scamming people. So it wouldn't be the end of the world, but then Tencent was trying to buy up portions of other mega companies, especially American ones. And there's no such thing as a Chinese company. It's a communist government asset. That is what you are. Remember, they're playing communism when it comes to control, and the rest of the time they're 100% free market. It's the worst of both worlds, kind of. So you might be thinking, okay, fine, they've been screwing it up, sell it off to somebody who will manage it better, turn it into more profitable, probably in a more egregious way, but have you looked at what Hasbro's been trying lately with it? Just saying. They would charge you $1 a dice roll if they could, okay? Yeah. Current management at the D&D section of WOTC has been just trash. The what were they doing, like copywriting and charging for other people's work or something, and trying to cut into other people's creations, I believe, was also one of the big controversies. Yeah, they got their hand caught in the cookie jar. So, D&D kind of on the decline. Now, people are getting pretty amped up for the revised version of 5th edition, though, of the rules, if it ever gets done. They wrote a bunch of woke bullshit in the meantime, which sold like crap and drove people away, but they just can't stop. They can't stop. They're obsessed. These stupid lefty cult members can't drop their stupid politics and fake morals and nonsensical outraged crap for 2 seconds to make some damn money, because this is more important to them. Because MSNBC told them it's really important and it's more important than money or anything else. Sure it is. So how much D&D will make in the future, how much it's making now, it almost doesn't matter. They've been up, they've been down, they've been popular, they had some good movies, they had some good games, they had some bad games. Right now, it's kind of red hot if they would be managed by people who would crack the whip and be like, we're not doing this. Just do this. This'll make money, you know? So if TenCent wants to come in like an activist investor, cool. I don't care. I really don't care what happens to D&D. I very recently stopped playing after about 8 years. Like, we're talking weeks ago. But Hasbro selling it off would not be any kind of solution. You might think, oh, pay off their debt, stop the bleeding, stabilize, and we're all good. No, they'd be getting rid of income. They'd be selling off assets to do what? You think selling off D&D is going to help their stock price? Because it's not. As soon as people hear about it, they'll be like, wow, why'd they do that? That's one of their 2 money-making properties. MTG and D&D are the only things making money right now. Not counting recent numbers from Monopoly Go. But yeah, licensing. Just look at BG3. Like, come on. Licensing. They've been making money on licensing where they just own it and they say, here, pay us 30% or whatever. And they're like, okay. Movie licensing to other people who know what they're doing. Game licensing to other people who know what they're doing. So here's the thing about selling off an IP permanently, is you don't have it anymore then. This is the same as the game Monopoly. If you sell off a property, you're like, oh, there we go. Okay, my cash flow problems are good now. But there goes my source of income. That's why if you start mortgaging properties, they better land on the rest of your properties. Otherwise, you just bought yourself time and not really. You delayed the inevitable, but it's still inevitable. So they're doing this because they probably are having trouble making payroll again. Even announcing or leaking that they're going to sell D&D is going to kick their stock price in the balls, obviously. Well, what they should do is just, trim down, lean up, lean into stuff that actually works, cut all the woke bullshit, stop with the preachy crap and the DEI garbage and the, racist hiring practices and all this other shit. Focus on what makes money and get innovative new people who can read stuff and predict the future and, get you where you need to go. Miniseries, VR, drones, they missed all that. They missed everything. Remember the Magic the Gathering series that was going to come out on Netflix? Yeah, they killed it. They wasted a bunch of money and killed it. Hey, remember the MTG movie that was going to come out in 2017, 2018 that they canceled because they couldn't get their shit together? Wasted a bunch of money and time on that. If you're going to do something, do it. Hasbro acquired an entire movie studio for multiple billions of dollars. Remember, back then, Hasbro was worth less than 10 billion. So multiple billions is a lot. That's like, 1/5 to 1/3 of their company value, if I remember correctly. They blew on that. And they ended up doing absolutely nothing with it. They didn't make like a G.I. Joe movie. I think they did like one thing, it flopped, and then they sold it for like an 80% loss or something like that. It's astonishing. You can't do stuff like that with that amounts of money. You can do stupid, dumb little multi-million-dollar pet projects, and if it fails, whatever. And if it's a new big thing, okay, cool. But like Monopoly Go, they're just following Pokemon Go, which people are still kind of fed up with, but you would have to actively try to do worse than Pokemon Go. Niantic is one of the laziest, stupidest, most out-of-touch, just poorly managed software companies I have ever seen in my life. And remember, that's coming from a former software developer. So I'm not just talking up my ass. I think they pulled the plug on all this Magic the Gathering, animated series and movies and stuff because it would have just been woke shit and it would have bombed and they knew it. There was rumors about like a script issue and they couldn't find a script writer. They had a script and they couldn't find a director that liked it, or I don't know. I think they were just like, it's more lefty crap, and then kids aren't going to see it because you got to put a bunch of pervy crap in it and a bunch of perverts kissing. And I've got an idea. Instead of obsessing over that, the first person to bring it up, fire them. The second person to bring it up, fire them. The third person to bring it up, fire them. And then put out a statement that says, look what happened to the first 3. You're fired if you want to put a bunch of pervy, weird, pushing the narrative crap. Okay, people are done with that. It's 2023. We're over it. We let you have your little fun. We let you have your little laws, okay? And you said, I just want to be left alone. I'm not going to get preachy. I just want to be left alone to live my life and be happy the way I want to live it. Wait like 3 years. They're in the schools. They're taking over everything. They're shoving laws down your throat. They're wanting you suspended from your job, your social media. Amazon's locking you out of your house because they think you said something on your Ring doorbell that you didn't. Yeah. We let you have your chance and now it's over, okay? After Budweiser, people are like, ooh, maybe we should tread a little more carefully because people are done like, ooh, I can't say anything, I can't speak up or I'll get canceled. But clearly these people are literally walking around with mental illness. Not a word of what they said is consistent or makes sense. But I can't say anything. Guess what, I'm saying it. I've been saying it the whole damn time because I'm not afraid of what people think of me. I've got enough money, influence, power, motivation, and if somebody screws with me online, I will find you. And people know it. So, like, I'm glad to be an example of somebody who just does not give a shit. And I get so many comments, people saying this is like the last, like, openly conservative or at the very least anti-woke channel covering, like, geek stuff and gaming stuff. And yeah, it is. I'm one of about 1,000 prepper channels over on my other channel, my survival and prepping channel. But if y'all think you could scare me out of this this area, nah, I'm not going anywhere. I go wherever the hell I want and I say whatever the hell I want. Because it's the truth. And so, yeah, their business model of, oh, let's go even more far left. Let's hire more far lefties. Let's get progressive. Let's get with the times. Let's hire all these dumb kids right out of college. Oh, they're ruining our company. How did this happen? Well, now I have to sell off D&D and MTGO and a bunch of other shit. Yeah, oops, how'd that happen? Turn it around. You're actually getting activist investors who don't give one single shit about conservative values or nothing. They just care about money. And they're like, let me see, how can I fix this? How can I fix it? I'm going to buy 10, 20%. I'm going to come in and say, I run the show now. And how are we going to turn this around? Find everybody with rainbow-colored hair and fire them. Find everybody who wears their voting ballot on their head and fire them. Ooh, suddenly we're profitable again. Holy shit. Search HR reports for the term microaggression, find the person who filed it and fire them. Oh, suddenly, oh my God, income went up 5%. Productivity went up 100%. Holy crap, what happened? They cracked the code, they figured it out. And now actually, I forget who's all being targeted by them. I don't think it was Hasbro yet. Wasn't it Star Wars? Oh, no, well, Disney. Yeah, somebody's buying up like 10, 20% of Disney being like, hey, I'm going to buy more every week till you get this shit together. And yet Kathleen Kennedy still works there. Well, you reap what you sow. I mean, it's bad business decisions was the majority of the money they lost, and the minority of money they lost, pun intended, is them being a bunch of woke, hypocrite, lying idiots who are going with the modern trend right off a cliff. And people are coming out of the woodwork instead of just silently boycotting. They're like, man, why is our money drying up? Nobody knows that you didn't go see a movie. You know what I mean? But other people are going out of the way to be like, no, we're done with Budweiser. We're done with this. We're done with that. Here's a list. Like, you're next. We're coming for you next. People got to think twice. And I think Hasbro got in too late, and they're making even bigger, like I said, traditional business mistakes. Old models, old toys, old people on the board, they just don't know what they're doing. So I got to say it, something bad's going to happen to MTG. Now, why are they selling off D&D instead of MTG? I think it's because it just looks hotter right now, and they had the controversy, but they also had BG3. So they're probably planning another movie right now, and that's kind of like a selling point where they could kind of overinflate it with the future value, future income. Generally, instead of an IP, if you bought a full business turnkey, you're looking at like 5 to 10 years worth of income is what you buy it out for, depending on its a bunch of stuff. So like if I want to go buy a laundromat and the laundromat profits, not makes, profits $50,000 a year, I better give them $500,000 to $1 million to buy it out turnkey. Just walk away, I'm the owner at the end, because I am virtually guaranteed to have that much income or more. Now, if you got a couple, the sign's kind of rusting and, you don't do much advertising and your customer base is like literally dying off, and you're going to throw 10 grand at a day one that they don't have, and okay, we're going to make it 70,000 a year. There you go. Now that's the kind of thing where if they're kind of failing, but the promise is there, you could give them 10x. So what is D&D going to make in the next 5-10 years? I have no idea. Does it even work that way? Probably not. I think it'll be a little bit lower. I just haven't seen a number. Nobody's willing to throw out a number. But like I said, in my opinion, D&D is worth $500 million to like $3 billion, right around there. Now, if Hasbro got $3 billion, that would solve a hell of a lot of their problems. But if you're just sitting there with cash and nothing to do, that's actually really bad for your stock price. People see a big spike and get excited and the bots will trade it, but then when people actually look into the press releases and the quarterlies, it's going to sink right back down. They'll be like, oh, did you fix all your problems and now you have this red hot thing that people are buying? Oh, no, you sold off a giant portion of your company for its future value. Huh. Now, if they at the same time announced, here's our new plan, here's a new person, meet this new thing, here's generally what we're going to do, and people are like, oh, that's a solid plan. That seems kind of future. Okay. Augmented reality, I don't know, what's the next Monopoly Go? What could you do? What else do they own? I don't know, nothing good. Oh my god, dude, though, if they just did like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel thing, but with like AR, with either VR glasses or with just you hold up your phone, or like strap your phone to your face, or like a super cheap $50, $100, whatever, you know, the screen's here and the processing's on the phone. Just AR, just pass through from the camera AR, set your camera on a $3 tripod and boom, you're good. And we were like playing Arena. You can just walk up to somebody on the street and challenge them just like that. And then there was like rewards and they got press coverage and oh my god, like why aren't you developing this, Wizards? What the hell are you waiting for? Oh, that's it, right. You're waiting for us to all, you know, say we're trans or whatever. Just drop all that shit and go after money. How about that? That is literally your fiduciary duty as a publicly held company. Why the hell didn't they just throw a couple million at, you know, whoever made Pal World, took them 3 years and that's it. Make a simple, fun, interesting game with like an interesting loop and interesting premise. Kind of, you know, funny thing, whatever. They made a hyper serious but bland and generic as hell where nobody has any reason to play it whatsoever and zero reason to keep playing it MMO. You guys might remember it. It was out for like 2 months. I'm one of the only people who still has footage of it on the internet. It was an absolute flash in the pan and they killed it. I bet they lost, it had to have been 10 million. At least. They hired like a third-party company to make it, and I don't think it was a license agreement. I think they actually just like hired them to make it. So I don't know who lost how much money. I don't remember who was making that, to be honest, but I think that was related to TenCent, actually, now that I think about it. So that is interesting. TenCent might fire back with just give us all of Wizards of the Coast. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't want to see a single Chinese billionaire or entity business corporation make one single penny on anything ever. But if you took North Korea, removed basically the crime family running it, okay, and then replaced it with a chimp that does sign language occasionally, it would go from worse to bad, okay? You're still at bad, but it's technically an improvement. I might be saying, is there some way that WOTC can, like, say, we're declaring ourselves an independent company? Absolutely not. I've never even heard of something like that. I might be wrong. That's, like, above my level of legal understanding. But the fact that I've never heard of a company doing that, where they're like, we're a parent company, but our subsidiary just walked away. Like, you can't do that unless it's, like, an acquisition thing and they violate a term of it. And Hasbro's owned WOTC for way too long for that to be true. The best thing I could think is, like, the shareholders force you to sell it off. But then it's voting shares versus like class action. You're looking at 3, 4, 5 years in court. Nah, it doesn't sound. I don't think there's a way to do it. So they would have to be basically bankruptcy, out of money, sell it off. But I said Wizards of the Coast properties would be the last they'd ever sell off, but they must really not have anything else. I mean, selling Monopoly would be insane. And what else they got? Barbie is Mattel. G.I. Joe, they got Power Rangers. I think they acquired that for like $1 billion. That was stupid. They just sat there and lost money. So if they sold that off, they'd be like, well, why didn't you do anything with it then if it's so damn hot? They'd probably get $100 million for it. There's nothing else to sell is what it comes right down to. So I'm not kidding when I say the very next thing to sell would be either themselves in their entirety, like Microsoft, TenCent, Apple, I don't know, buys Hasbro, the end, or Hasbro sells off MTG and then they've just got nothing left. They would just go down to being a tiny little company. And they'd have to do that to like make debts not default and not lower their D&B rating, as they call it, which is like a corporate credit score, and other stuff like that, like going into the red with no way to get out of it. And with interest rates the way they are right now, loans are drying up. It's like if they sold D&D and then they sold Magic the Gathering a year or two later, which is about what it would be, that's it for them. So they might as well sell themselves in their entirety and then try and like, sweet talk them into keeping some of the board and management intact, which is the absolute last thing that anybody would ever do. They are the problem. So it would get real interesting if somebody bought Hasbro out and then just kept every structure as is and then didn't touch Magic. I don't know. It's going to get rough. It would be interesting because Magic wouldn't go anywhere. But if somebody tries to buy Magic as it is right now and then milk even more money out of it, because like, why would you buy it if you're going to make it make less money? Like, that wouldn't be much of an investment. Unless people are thinking super long term and they get, acquired by the right people, it would be Arena, but even more expensive. secret layers, but now they're $50. Like, that's just all you would see. They would just up the prices, burn it out, burn it to the ground, and which means they'd be intending to pay a very low price to Hasbro for Magic the Gathering. Or I should say the remainder of Wizards of the Coast, which is probably what it would be. So, hey, stay tuned if you want to hear about that. Any hints, any leaks, anything like that that's coming up in the future, because it is. And I'll see you guys next time. See you guys.